Hello, I'm Eric Matisik, co-chair of Denver Startup Week. Last year, we were able to bring the global audience together for Denver Startup Week, and this year, we're excited to welcome that global audience back as we celebrate and showcase the best of entrepreneurship that the Denver ecosystem in Colorado has to offer, in Denver and beyond. There are lots to explore this week, but most importantly, we're excited that you're joining us. We have nearly 50 sponsor companies who contribute to make Denver Startup Week possible. Let's show our love for these companies today and all week long. Thanks to our headquarters and title sponsor, Amazon, and our title sponsors whose leadership makes this week come to life, Capital One Cafe, the Downtown Denver Partnership, Fluid Truck, Hotel Engine, and WeWork, and our track sponsors who've made all the great content you're hearing today possible, which includes our founder track sponsor, Kickstart, our growth track sponsor, Friday Health Plans, developer track sponsor, Quizlet, product track sponsor, Palantir, design track sponsor, Battery 621 and the Public Works, people track sponsor, Exactly, and the spotlight event sponsor, Strat Labs. Our headline event sponsors are bringing this excitement to the entire week. Thank you to B-Side Fund, Colorado Public Radio, Comcast, Coors Brewing Company, Denver Pavilions, Entrepreneurship at the University of Denver, Gusto, JP Morgan Chase, Method, Moss Adams, Pi Insurance, Promontory Mortgage Path, Red Bull Basement, Southwest, Tattered Cover, and the VF Venture Foundry. Finally, thank you to our sponsors and member sponsors who are listed on the screen, and thank you for your support of Denver Startup Week. Now, let's get to it.
Yeah.
Hey boss, Mountain West Q2 forecast, 2.3 million.
Nice. Are you kidding me? Come on.
Ugh, another one.
Welcome to Denver Startup Week. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Emma. We are the People Track co-chairs and members of the Denver Startup Week Organizing Committee.
Thank you for joining us for the 10th anniversary of Denver Startup Week. At Denver Startup Week, we strive to make all of our sessions a space where attendees can connect, learn, and grow, regardless of age, gender identity, gender expression, race, ability, or sexual orientation.
A special thank you to our sponsors for their support in helping us to keep Denver Startup Week free and accessible for all, especially our People Track sponsor, Exactly.
On that note, please enjoy the session and the entire Denver Startup Week.
Well, thank you all for being here. We are so excited to be here and share our story with you and share some helpful hints and tips and tools that you can also use to think about building a remote business across international borders. We would also like to take this opportunity to thank Denver Startup Week and all of their hard work and the opportunity for us to present and be here with you today. Now, I know this year and last year is different than previous years have been, and we're not able to be in person quite as much, But we are able to have our hybrid event and be live streamed. And that's really cool in of itself because we're able to be with you here today from 3 different corners of the world coming to you live. So we're looking forward to sharing our roller coaster of an experience with you from just over a year ago when we started with our initial concept, our idea, which has evolved into an actual digital marketing agency with clients and employees and projects and systems. And we're going to be sharing today with you how we got here and the systems that we're using in order to help us be a remote business across international borders. Today, we're going to talk about a few items to help you with your systems, hiring, and give you some tools that have really helped us get to this stage. We'll also discuss some helpful communication tactics and challenges that we've faced in this international type of structure. We'll then talk about some cross-cultural items to keep in mind when working with individuals from different countries across the world, and some key takeaways that will hopefully help in whatever type of venture you're currently in. Now, I realize that there may be some people joining us from many different places, both where you're at in the world and also where you're at in your business. You might already have an international business, and you might be looking for a few tips to help you accelerate in a certain direction. You might not quite have an international business yet, but maybe that's something on your radar. Maybe you want to develop a business with a good foundation and roots going internationally. Maybe you haven't really thought about having this type of structure before, but you might want to learn more about what it takes to develop an international business. Whichever stage you're at, we hope that what we share with you today will be helpful to guide and maybe further ignite the passion that you have to take your idea from local to international. So we're looking forward to being here with you today. So by now, you might be wondering, where are you all coming from? What are these 3 places that you're coming from? And how did this even happen? How did you come to form this type of a business structure? Well, to speak on that, I'm going to introduce one of our co-founders. He is based in Dhaka, Bangladesh. He is also our human resources specialist and our finance specialist, Mr. Akit Chowdhury.
Hi. Hi everyone. So I used to know Gina because she used to teach me English and how to pronounce English. And Karen helped me to do the social marketing for our online cosmetics store. So that's the way I knew Gina and Karen. So now Karen will talk for rest of the slides.
Okay, and so I'm based in Australia, and it's very early here, but I'm here and I'm doing it. So I wanted to chat through our branding journey first. So we when we first started, it took us a little while to work out a name, and a lot of that reason was because trying to find a name that wasn't taken was very difficult. But then we also thought about what we were trying to achieve as well, and who we were, and we came up with the name Dharana Digital because I've been a student of yoga for 15 years, and Dharana is one of the 8 limbs of yoga, and it means laser-like concentration. And so we wanted to use that name because it really symbolizes and articulates what we're trying to do for our clients. There is so much noise on in the digital media space, social media, online. And so we really wanted to make sure that we could really focus on who our customers, who our clients' audiences were, who they really wanted to connect with, who they wanted to target and build relationships with, and use that laser-like concentration to find them and learn about them and work out tactics to be able to connect with them and build relationships with them on an ongoing basis. Because social media and digital media, it's a long-term game, so understanding the audience is just crucial. So we wanted to do that, and we also wanted to embody that principle with ourselves. So rather than being, I guess, across many different things, we wanted to make sure that we were still able to focus our attention and do the best for our customers. And so over time, we keep developing our brand, and our mission statement has really, we've shifted recently. We've been doing some work with a training academy. It's called the Academy for agencies, and to really work out what we were trying to do as a business. And so we've shifted our focus in terms of our clients to, we want to work with clients in the wellness space. And so that helped us to come up with our tagline, which is, and our mission. We want to empower people working in the wellness space to actually help others. So rather than just focusing on making lots of money and that sort of thing, we're really focused on helping people to do their best and to support others in their business. So that's where we've shifted now. And we've also shifted our services to concentrate more on LinkedIn. What we're finding in our research is that, and this is, it may be a bit of a generalization, but just anecdotally, we find that their wellness coaches are doing really well on platforms like Instagram. However, LinkedIn is quite new for some. And so we wanted to really guide them on how to improve their presence on LinkedIn and have a really great web presence as well. So when people Google, because that's how people, check out each other now online and to see what they're like and what their business is like, we wanted that branding and presence to be really strong, and that our clients to be found really easily through our SEO services. And there was also seemingly a gap in the market for wellness coaches who want to deliver online courses. And so this is an area that we are offering services in now too. I have more than 10 years experience developing courses at a university level and workshops and things of that nature. And so we wanted to then lend those skills to help wellness coaches to create online courses or even just events and seminars so that they can again support their customers and their clients. So yeah, so that's just a little rundown on where we've come, but it's taken a while. Like working out what you're doing, it doesn't come straight away. And it's been a really interesting journey, but I'm really excited about where we are now and where we're moving to. And I wanted to talk. I'm not going to go through all of these sorts of things, but this gives you a background of who I am. So I've worked in marketing communications for more than 20 years, and I'm also a senior lecturer. So I lecture in digital communication, social media, at the University of the Sunshine Coast in Australia, and I've written books on the topic and things of that nature. And what really prompted me to move into this space was I didn't want to lose my connection with the practical application of what I was teaching. I think it's so important for academics to work in their field that they are teaching in, because they can then, only their students and them can actually benefit from that. They can share real examples about what is actually going on in the space at that time, rather than just focusing on what's happening in textbooks. So for me, it really started with, I was doing social media coaching and a bit of consulting. And it's when I was provided with the opportunity from my kick, who brought us all together, it really, to actually build this business, I was really excited. It was scary because I'd never, I just did things myself as a sole trader, but bringing this together was really exciting because it was a new adventure for me to be part of a startup. And now I can actually teach my students about the process. So rather than talking about things in theoretical terms, I can actually give them solid advice on how to start their own businesses, how to be freelancers, and how to start their own agencies, if that's a step that they want to take. So we wanted to talk now about just some really helpful tools that we use to set this business up. So, and these they are Australian-based tools, but I'm pretty sure that there may be equivalents in the US or wherever country you're watching from. We're looking more around sort of the legal tools and financial banking tools. So this tool, Law Path, because we decided to set the business up in Australia as a company. But as you can imagine, the process for those who haven't been through it before, it isn't really clear. And hiring a lawyer to take you through every step, we were a startup, we didn't have that kind of money, you know. And so we stumbled on this amazing tool called Law Path, which it's actually it's an online platform that firstly it takes you through step by step how to set up your company, the information that you need, and it works directly with those government bodies to submit all your applications and that sort of thing. It also has a range of templates on there. So we, for example, we have a shareholders agreement for our company between Gina Akik and myself, and all of that was on this platform. So rather than hiring a lawyer, we could just use the templates, and we can email lawyers who are part of the platform for advice as well. And they also provide discounted rates for legal advice if you need it. The other great thing for us, because we are virtual, we don't have an office space, so it allowed us, and that was really hard because when you're trying to, I guess, register with, say, Google My Business or these sorts of platforms, they wouldn't know where you are, and so that was interesting. And I didn't want to use my home address either. I can have that on Google. So this company also allows you to create a virtual office. And so you have a proper office address, and mail can be sent there. They will scan it and email you a scan of that when you have mail. At the moment, we're going through the trademark process to trademark our business name, and so we're receiving communication correspondence through the Australian sort of Trademark Patents Office with and they're sending that to our virtual office. So it's working really, really well. And it's this platform, it's an annual subscription. So it's almost like a menu of exactly what you want and what you need. So you don't have to pay for things you don't need. And you can also pay for things as they happen. So I think there was something recently where we had to, because when we started, we used my home address, I think, on the company setup. And so once we had the virtual office, we needed to change that. So we could just pay for that amendment as it happened rather than, you know, going through a whole process as well. So it's been great just to make it really easy, the different legal processes, but also having that support and advice on call if we needed it. Our other saving grace has been this tool, Airwallex. Let me just tell you a little story. When we first started before Airwallex, I needed to transfer some money to Akik in Bangladesh, and it alerted the bank and authorities there because I'm a foreigner transferring money, and they confiscated it. And I didn't get it all back. It took a lot of time through my bank, a lot of to and fro through the banks to get some of the money back. But then we thought, well, there must be an easier way because we have our employees in other countries, we have clients in Australia and in America and wherever else they're going to come from. So there needed to be a way where we could exchange our funds that wasn't going to cost a lot of money, that could be exchanged through different currencies, and that were easily accessible to all the founders as well. And so we found this tool, Airwallex, which is also a startup too. And it's been amazing. Like our clients can transfer money into our bank on Airwallex into our account, and then we can withdraw in whatever country we're in. We're not charged transaction fees either. The other thing is that it allows you to have these sort of digital cards. So we have one for subscriptions and one for other business expenses. And so when we're paying for things online, we actually have a card that we can use, even though it's digital, and that comes out of our account as well, which is really handy. The other thing that we've just added recently is that our clients can now pay by credit card. So there's a link that our clients can click and actually use their credit card to pay their monthly fees with us, which has made it so much easier for them as well. So it's been great. And we just wanted to declare that both LawPath and Airwallex we're not affiliates in any way. We're just sharing this because they've been so helpful in helping us to set up this business across international borders. It's been really, really great. Let's move now on to communication. So we have 2 employees in Bangladesh, and I mainly look after Rifa, who is our social media producer, and Gina works with Mustason, who is our web designer, SEO coordinator as well. So what we've found with that, Gina's going to talk more about Trello, but as sort of a project management tool and a way for online communication with in relation to projects, Trello has been really, really helpful. What I like about Trello is that I'm still, when I'm juggling work and my university work and Dharana, what I find is, and I'll talk more about that in a second, I can't jump into and have Trello up all day because I'm sort of juggling my other role. But it has emails when there's been a notification. It notifies me when something's going on, and if I'm too busy, I can just respond via email. And it's just really helpful and visually to see what needs to be done and where things are. So that's been really great. I find with Rifa, we do 2 Zoom check-ins a week, and we just find that face-to-face interaction really beneficial. We can share our screens and show things, and we can also brainstorm a lot as well. Like we'll brainstorm around clients and do Google searches while we're talking, and just having that real-time synchronous communication can be really, really helpful for us in getting things done really quickly. So sometimes things can take a while over email to sort out, but we can get through them in 10 minutes on a Zoom call. So we do that twice a week. And email is also really important. So when I can't do Zoom and Trello, I'm still a big, I rely on email a lot, and I sort of use email as my to-do list almost. So it's been really great that I've still been able to do that and not change everything, to develop new habits. But Trello is really great, but I'm so glad that they send emails. And just some helpful hints about working with people in different countries. So one thing we learned as a team was we need to learn about the different sort of cultural and religious holidays of our employees as well, because of, I guess, with some sort of cultural aspects, depending on where it is, we find if we don't raise that or are aware of that, like we had an instance earlier in the year where it was a religious holiday. We didn't know, and we were organising meetings and things like that, like it was just another day. And one of our employees still came, and she was supposed to really be spending time with her family, but felt like she couldn't tell us that it was the day. So just being really aware, asking your employees, is there anything coming up that we need to factor in, and just making sure that we're really sort of sensitive and factor those days in. The other thing is to keep checking in to clarify that you're on the same page. And I mean, that's normal communication with anyone. It doesn't, not even just across different international borders. It's just making sure that you both understand what the task needs. Another challenge we found, and I think this is also can happen with anyone, is brand voice in general can be quite difficult to attain, particularly when the brand that you're representing is so far removed from who you are. So we have Rifa at the moment because we still have some clients from when we first began, and so one of our clients, the brand creates a excuse me, a tool for plumbers. And so, and the brand voice of that is really sort of casual English to connect with plumbers. And so here you have Rifa, who's I don't know, in her early 20s in Bangladesh, trying to write like she's a US plumber, and it can be, or even an Australian plumber, and it can be so hard in general to do that. So it's just that's just a process, and she's getting there, but it's taken time, and it's just encouraging and keep getting her to keep trying and keep guiding on that. So that can be challenging. Excuse me. And the other thing is, which is really important, is to keep rewarding your employees for their great work. Also keep skilling them up. We've paid for a number of certifications, Facebook Blueprint certifications, etc., for our employees, just to keep developing them. And they are so appreciative that you are taking the time to instill that knowledge in them and support them in that way. And they, your business only benefits from your employees being happy and feeling valued, but also their skills, then they can actually apply those skills to your business and keep it thriving too. Now, see this photo, it's actually a GIF where I don't know if you've seen this before, and the guy's like spinning plates and he's trying to make sure they're not going to fall. And this is pretty much my life. So I have a very heavy workload as an academic, and then as a co-founder of Dharana as well. But I mean, it's been worth it, and I understand things will shift as we develop. But the first year, it has been challenging. But what I find is that I need to really be very detailed in what I need to do and who I need to meet with and what's expected and all the deadlines. So making sure I have an extensive to-do list. I have a big whiteboard on my wall. I won't show you now, but and it's got everything on there as well. I tend to look at Dharana work when I'm taking mini breaks from my academic work. So if I go and get a coffee in the morning, I'll sit down and I'll do some emails, and just finding those little spaces during the day as well. And also on weekends. So we've found as a team, our sweet spot for meeting is about 11 a.m. my time on a Saturday morning. And it's still very early for a gig. And it's Friday evening for Gina. And so that's really been a great time as well. Also, I guess it's just being really clear about, because there's different times of my academic sort of semester where things are just frantic, and I'm just letting everyone know that I'm about to enter that, so they're aware if I'm not as responsive as I normally am. And it's been sort of hard in a sense that I have to, my university's been very supportive of me doing this, but also it's been very clear that I need to keep things quite separately. Just to avoid those issues with conflict of interest. So, for example, I would never be allowed to hire one of my students or use them as an intern or anything of that nature, because I need to keep that separate. And I think that's a good idea. So it's learning how to juggle both roles, because they're quite substantial, both roles, while still doing the best for each, my employer and also for our business as well. And we're sort of on track now to have a client project manager soon, which will sort of take me out of a lot of the day-to-day communication. So yeah, so as we grow, I think my role will become more strategic. I'll focus more on social media coaching and the sort of course development side for our clients, rather than being in the sort of more of the day-to-day client relationship management role. And I'll hand you over now to Gina.
Thank you, Karen. Hopefully you can all hear me on the microphone. So yes, I've spoken with you, so now I'll officially introduce myself. So I'm Gina. I'm based here in Denver, and I've been an SEO specialist for about the last 10 years, so working with search engine optimization. And that is what I'm doing now at Dharana Digital. So it's been great to be able to continue what I've really enjoyed doing, which is developing systems and investing as well. There's a lot of investing that goes on in building a business. You're figuring out where to put your money, where to put your time. And I also have a passion for wellness. So developing sustainable initiatives for my own life, as well as the climate, fitness. So being able to work on all of that now with Dharana Digital is something that's been really, it's been a bit of a dream come true, and I'm looking forward to seeing it grow. And I've had some international experience, so working with startups and small businesses from other countries. I spent some time living abroad in Thailand and Southeast Asia. And during that time, I had the opportunity to help other startups out there and small businesses grow, develop their websites, develop their YouTube channels, as well as develop the traffic to get to both of their platforms. And one in particular, I was teaching English when I was abroad, and I also taught for and helped develop an online English school called Oxford Online English. And from back then in 2013 to now, I've been able to just grow with this business and help them on the marketing side and optimize their YouTube channel on their website. And now we've got almost 2.5 million YouTube subscribers, and 8 of my own videos of teaching English have over 1 million views, and a couple of them have about 3 million views. So it's just been great to be able to grow with Google and with YouTube and learn and understand from a foundational aspect of search engine optimization. So that's a little bit about me. So now I'll take you into a few tools that have really helped us in our systems for our business. Karen touched on this briefly, but Trello has been so paramount in our day-to-day. It's a project management software for those of you who might not have heard of it before. And from what I believe is one of the few remaining free tools that really has quite robust services for the free version. So I'll show you what ours looks like and take you through some examples of what you could possibly do for your particular business structure. So this is our board here. And as you can see, it's organized by our clients. So what you get is you get a card when you start a new board. You get a card and you can personalize it however you want. So we've chosen to have the first card be our client, and each other card following in that column is a month. And within those months, that's where all of the tasks are detailed. We have our overall goals in the description of this card. We also have a checklist for what needs to be done and due dates for that specific item. And underneath, you can see that the activity is where we can interact with each other and we can share messages based on what we're working on for that month. So it's a little bit easier to follow than email. Email, things can get jumbled, they can get lost. There are so many different places that things could go, whereas I can come here and look and see the history and what has been shared. You can also attach attachments, screenshots and different documents if you need to share those with the individuals that you're working with. So it's really a great place to have everything in one place. And as you can see, we've got all of our team members here on this board. We'll probably have another board in the future, but for now we're still starting. And so we have everything on this particular board, including where employees can communicate if they don't need to bring us into it, and training details when we have certain items of training that the employees can take advantage of. Now, we also use this with some of our clients. For example, this client, Tigerfish Tools, there are quite a few different projects that we're working on with this particular client. So it's nice to have this board where we can customize now based on project. But as you can see underneath, we still have our individual cards for the month, so we can keep everything in one place during that time. There are also other ways to do this. I mean, really, the options are kind of endless in terms of how you want to organize your board. But here's a template, which Trello gives many templates for a master editorial calendar for a marketing agency. So as you can see here, they've organized more by project and more like the main type of category and then projects underneath. So that's also another way to do it. And you can see that they've got a few examples of when things are complete and the description. So as I said, there are many options with Trello. We've certainly found it to be useful for what we're doing. And as Karen said, it also sends you an email whenever someone has mentioned you on a card so that you don't miss what someone has said. So Trello has been great. Now, another process or another tool that helps us with our processes is Google Drive. This is another platform that we would not be able to function without. And I'm sure during the lockdown and during our change of lifestyle here, many of you have probably used Google Drive and understand what it's about. So I'll give you an example of how we organize our Google Drive, taking into account having our international employees. So there are a few things to think about with Google Drive as you are getting set up. For those of you who haven't used it before, you will automatically get Google Drive if you sign up for a G Suite account. You can access it after you log in and go to your apps right here, right next to where your name is, and you will see Drive. Now, this is my personal G Suite account. And here I have actually created a folder that has our Dharana Digital documents. This folder is for our managerial team. It's for the leadership. And it's we've got our finance, we've got our hiring, all of the different client documents in one place for the co-founders, right? And it's shared from my personal account because with our business account, our admin at Dharana Digital, our employees actually have access to that account. And that's so they can log into our different tools using that general email. So if there's something that you want to only have accessible for you and your leadership team, I recommend building folders from your individual account. And then this folder here, our social media and content documents, this has been built from our Dharana Digital account, right? This is the owner here. So with that, our employees, if they ever log into the G Suite account, they can see this folder there. So just thinking about how you want to organize things can be very important. Now within this folder, we have all of our different clients. It will be different for some of you depending on the industry that you're in and how you want to organize the details in your business. And for example, we'll click on one of our clients here, and you can see for each client, basically everything lives here that the production team needs to work on so that they can access, they can then share documents on the specific card on Trello when it needs to be checked. So a very nice, helpful tool. I'm learning to like Google more and more. As much as I work with Google, I always wanted to try and avoid, if I could, using all of the big platforms, but it's really been just so helpful. So what I recommend, to reiterate, is build a bit of a blueprint. What processes do you have in your business? Where do you want those to go? And how do you want to structure your folders? Right? If you do this at the beginning, it can be so important and helpful because things get messy. You're adding folders here, adding folders there, you're adding files. So if you have a general blueprint to begin with, that will help you stay organized. So Google Drive, certainly helpful. With an international team, organization and clarity is even more important than it might be for a normal type of business structure. Now, organizing projects can also be an important part of the way that you interact with your employees. And I will share my screen one last time with you. So this is an example of a project that we recently worked on, building our own funnel for our agency. Now, I had a meeting with Musa Sen, our web developer, and I also created this guide to reiterate what we went through in the meeting. So I basically structured out what exactly we were working with, which pages we were working with, right? So, excuse me, that's on top. Underneath there are steps for each part of the process that he needs to create. For those of you who have built SOPs, it's basically an SOP for your particular project, right? A standard operating procedure. And screenshots, what are you talking about? We go down here, we emphasize. So this particular project, I've tried to cover all of the bases as much as possible to make sure that the understanding is there and the language is easy to understand. It's not too detailed. And if he has questions, he can make comments directly on the document and I can respond. So when you are assigning projects, when something new comes about, I highly recommend, especially at the beginning when you have your employees from other places, have an organized system of how you are presenting the projects. Have steps, have details, have screenshots. It will save you a lot of time in the future. Flowing from that is communication in general. So checking in with employees and also the balance of learning to let go. It is definitely a balance. And communication in general is so critical in any business structure, right? But especially when you have employees that speak different languages, as we do, right? We have 2 employees from Bangladesh and English is not their native language. So being able to first just check in often. You can't ever assume something is getting done. You can't ever assume that deadlines are going to be met. It's important to just keep the communication open. How's it going? Do you need help with something? What's, all of that. In some cultures, it's actually looked down upon if they have questions to reach out to you and actually ask for things, ask for help, question something in particular. So if you just keep the lines of communication open always, you facilitate the opportunity for them to then get in touch with you when they have questions. And eventually they'll get the hang of it and understand that this is how you can communicate in this type of a business structure. When you are planning meetings, when you are planning deadlines, keeping their time zone in mind is very important. This is a tool that I used a lot at the beginning, which is Dateful.com time zone converter. So it gives you your local time, and then you can also convert to whatever location you're trying to. So if I'm like, let's see, Karen is on the Sunshine Coast. I'm not sure if it has it open. I'm not sure if Sunshine is the same. No, it's different. But you can find the general, like Brisbane, Australia, right? It'll tell you what the time is right now. This is very simple. So when you're planning ahead, you can really try and figure out what time it should be. You can also adjust the time, and it should adjust automatically to the time in the future that you're trying to plan for. So really thinking about how you're planning these meetings is very important. And also deadlines, I highly recommend push your deadlines out like 2 days in advance, so you have time to get reviews in, and so they have time to make reviews, and then you have time on top of that for sleeping and having your schedules not be as lined up. So again, all of these items certainly important when you're communicating and planning. Some key takeaways, right? Again, I can't stress enough, but just creating that open channel of communication can really be helpful, especially when you're working with people who don't speak English as their native language and who might have a different culture where communication isn't quite as widely utilized and acceptable when you have questions or don't understand something. Lots of examples, right? As I showed you with that process, detail out exactly what needs to be done, share pictures, right? Everything and anything, every detail you can think of at the beginning especially. This will really help set a great foundation. And another thing to think about just in general as you are going into other countries and working with other types of people, thinking strategically about how you want to collaborate and where you want to go and where you want to place your business. For example, as we have come together from Bangladesh, Australia, and the United States, we've realized that in Bangladesh, content marketing isn't really something that's very widely utilized out there. It's not really understood. And that's something that we actually specialize in the US and Australia is a lot of content marketing. So we're able to kind of utilize that opportunity to really help businesses out in Bangladesh who might need that extra help with content marketing that isn't easily found where they are. So coming to what you're thinking about, is there a specific area where you could kind of put your skills and your talents to really help move them forward? That's something that you can certainly think about. So with that, I'd like to hand it back over to Mr. Akif Chowdhury, who will continue speaking about some helpful hints and tools. Thank you.
Hi all. Let me introduce myself again. So I'm a co-founder and I handle human resources and finance for Dharana Digital. I'm also a co-founder of a online cosmetics store where Dr. Karen helped me for the audit and she did some coaching also. So that's the way I came to Karen and later on came to Gina. So apart from these two, I work as a mechanical engineer in construction field. So let me tell the story how this Dharana Digital came. So when I used to work in online cosmetic store, I felt that there is a need for digital marketing, which is a very new for me or for others as well. So that's the way I requested Karen, why not we start a company? And Karen took it seriously. Then later on, I said, Gina also, why not you join? So Gina also took it seriously. That's the way it started. So this is the tool we use for finance, and we do have Excel file. So if anyone needs it, we can send it later on, the blank one. So in summary, I can tell that this is a monthly Excel file, and this is interconnected with the main one. So you guys can, anyone can see it, like it is date, income, expenditure, description, balance. So date was the first one for me. Like here we write the date first, then month, then year. So which at the beginning I didn't know that month in somewhere has to be fast. So yeah, that's the way this Excel file is. So I need to communicate with employees and co-founders and be available for any time. So generally we communicate each other for like 1 week before so that our time matches, because Gina and my time schedule is 12 hours difference and Karen and mine is like 4 hours. Yeah. So like Gina, Karen said, communication is key. We all know that. So like it's the way I saw here that we men work like challenge each others, you know, we sometimes talk loudly, we sometimes don't allow someone to finish their sentence. So that's the way here especially. So when I work in Gina and Karen, I found that they don't stop each other. They they support each other, especially to give their ideas. And so especially here, this part of world, we have different way of communication for different ages people. So yeah, means if you work in this part like Asia, you need to be aware of that, that how, what age or how old the person is when you are communicating with him or her. So also this is the new one for me. So I never used to reply any email unless it is required. So I thought that this will save his or her time as well as mine. But later on working with Dharana, I learned that not replying email might be rude or mostly rude. Challenges, as I spoke a few minutes ago, the understanding how old the clients are, means especially in Asian language, the pronouns and verb changes depending upon the ages. So in my mind, I always try to think how old he or she is before I speak. But in English, it doesn't work that way. The age is nothing in language. So like the one of the biggest challenge I would say we are the employees, because employees are the main for any startup. So some employees could be very good in interview, but probably they might not be the right fit for any startup. Especially for our case, we found it in wrong hard way. So we had to handle it and we learned from there. And the another one is quality of potential candidates. So unless you are known in social media through any way, the quality people will not apply for any positions. So you need to be visualized, or people should follow your media, social media, or Facebook, or Instagram, anywhere. And I had to communicate with university group admin to post any vacancy. At the beginning, it was quite challenging. I still remember I had to call the potential good candidates and request them, at least you guys should come and attend the interview. It doesn't matter whether you join or not. So nice of them. Later on, they came, and also one of them joined also. So the key takeaways in this part, if you think to recruit any person, when you advertise any post or vacancy, the job description should be very specific. The skills you are looking for should mention in the post, so that people don't confused. When you want to open an office in this part of the world, you need to keep in age in mind, as I explained a few minutes ago. So the older the person is, the more respect you should give to them. And also the way we communicate mostly, it's not really specific, rather it's a subjective. So you need to communicate that way when you work with people from subcontinent or Asia, I would say. Yeah, that's all from my side. And then I need to bring Karen again.
Okay, so this has brought us to the end of our presentation. Thank you so much. We hope you found some parts of it helpful as you learned our story and how we've sort of navigated and things we've discovered along the way. So please feel free to share some questions, and we still have some time to answer those. And if you'd like to learn more, we have a free LinkedIn training that you can receive from signing up, and you'll be delivered that to your inbox. And feel free to connect with us to continue the conversation and ask us any questions even after the presentation if you'd like to. So we're now on Facebook and Instagram and on LinkedIn, of course. So thanks so much. And have there been any questions, Gina?
Let's see. It doesn't look like there have been, so we'll give a few moments here. If anyone has any questions in terms of systems, challenges, or if you'd like to share any struggles that you faced, if you'd like to share any details about struggles that you've faced trying to have this type of a business structure, we'd be happy to chat with you. So let us know, and we'll give you a few moments here. And while we're waiting for questions, we are curious if you could raise your hand. After we do have one question. So thank you, Kristen, for sharing your question. So yeah, the only challenge sometimes is that we cannot have full control of what the remote workers are doing. Yeah, and I think that's something that trust is definitely something that we've had to definitely develop. What do you think about that, Karen?
Yeah, we have, and I mean, I guess it can be a risk when you're first starting, and you know, as we said, we had to learn along the way. We hired someone who wasn't a great fit, and yeah, we learned from that. But I guess over time, you build that relationship with your employees, and yeah, and they deliver, and you keep sort of, as I said, keep developing them and showing them that they're valued, and yeah, then and check in regularly, I think is important as well. And just so that there is time where they're on their own working, but then you still have those check-ins and deadlines that they need to meet, and make those regular.
Yeah, definitely. And I would say, like we did have an employee who we hoped that they were doing the work, but it turns out that they just had a lot going on and wasn't a great fit, wasn't doing the work. So, you know, after a while, you can kind of tell if they're not doing something. You know, you could just, you can log on and you can have different systems to be able to check and see if something's being worked on. And the good thing about Google Drive is that you can actually see a timestamp of when something has been edited and by whom. So that's a great opportunity to actually make sure that they are doing what they say they're doing. So great question.
Yeah.
So it looks like we've got another question. Do you know any US alternatives to LawPath? Yeah, that's a good question. Taxes, business organization. Karen, have we found any good?
No, and yeah, I haven't heard of one, but there might be. Like I guess, I mean, it might even be worth contacting LawPath and to see if they do have any counterparts in the US. Because it's been such a great platform, been so helpful. Because I mean, the legal side of it is definitely not my area of expertise for sure, and they just made that so easy.
Yeah. Yep. I think, yeah, and that's an interesting, I would do Google for sure, but alternatives to LawPath. And I'm sure they might even be affiliated with someone here locally. I think it's quite possible. So I'll put their oh, there we go. Check this out and see. I'm not sure how to share this with everyone, but while I'm doing that, I think we've got one more question.
There are two more questions.
Yeah. So there was, what strategies have you employed when developing a new remote employee's skill set that could be improved? I guess we sort of see the quality of their work when we're hiring, and then it's through, I guess, the tasks that we set for them, and also where we want to go as an agency. So it was really important for us that our particularly our social media staff were educated in, you know, Facebook ads and some of the Facebook certifications. So, you know, we just did that, even though they were at a pretty good standard. We just wanted them to just finesse that even more. And sometimes we ask, like our Reefa, who's our social media producer now, she's got a really keen interest in marketing finance. So we've just found a course for her that she'll do once her exams are finished. And you know, and I think that can only help us as well. Like, just keep building the knowledge that our employees want to have. It also helps with their development.
One step that we took at the very beginning is, for example, I specialize in SEO and Dr. Karen specializes in social media. So we hired 2 employees that we could kind of take under our wing and really guide them for the first few months and basically just kind of knowledge dump everything that we know, kind of putting into them, and you know, taking our teaching background and kind of basically teaching as well as working with them so they could develop their skills, you know, because they had a lot of their skills already, but we were able to kind of impart on them what we needed in terms of the Australian point of view and the American point of view. So really, there's a lot of teaching that's involved, depending on the types of employees that you want to hire. Great question.
I think one more thing during our interview, we look for the coachability, like listenable, the person, the candidate who will follow us. That was one of the key.
Coachability for sure. Yeah, it's good for all aspects of life. All right. Well, if there are no more questions.
Oh, there are a couple. So,
there are.
do you have advice on how to begin a search for global candidates for your startup? See, we were really lucky that, I mean, we have a gig on the ground in Bangladesh, and that has really helped us with that. But I don't know, Gina, do you have any advice from that respect?
So do you have any advice on how to begin a search for global candidates? Yeah, not limited to certain countries. Yeah, so there are platforms. Upwork is good. Freelancer.com is good. And connecting with some, so if you find the location that you know you want to expand into, just like we've done, Akik has been so helpful So he basically then scoured like the universities, as he said, and different areas. So if you think about partnering with someone locally in that area to help you search for a candidate, that might be your best bet. But if not, freelancer,
Upwork.
type it here, is good. Upwork is good. You know, all the normal types of things that where you can find different candidates. If that helps, LinkedIn is also a great resource.
And I think there was one final question. What kind of tools can we use to have a better track of the tasks they do, or if they're actually doing their task instead of only clicking the computer? Well, it's with us, like if they're sort of producing content, websites, things like that, if they're not doing it, like it's not there. So it's pretty clear if they're not doing their work because the actual item hasn't been produced.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. Like submitting things. As we mentioned with Google Drive, you can see when things have been uploaded, what they're actually working on. Yeah, and really there is a fair bit of trust. So really, I think it goes back to your interview process. You know, ask the questions up front about how will you let us know you're working on your tasks? How will you let us know that, you know, you're making progress on certain items? You know, kind of make sure that you set that foundation from the beginning, that they're expected to uphold their portion of the agreement.
Yeah, and two, it's having those regular deadlines, I find, because it's very clear if they're not meeting those deadlines, and so yeah, so just having those regular check-ins, and they have to, in our Zoom meetings, Riva has to show the work that she's been working on, so it becomes very clear when you have those work in progress checks, what's actually going on.
Keith, were you going to say something?
No, I think that's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. That's all of our questions.
Excellent. Thank you all for coming. We really appreciate it. We're just happy to be here, and we appreciate your time, and connect with us on social media. Let us know how you're going. If you have questions about building your international business, you know, we'll help you as much as we can. And yeah, looking forward to seeing what all of you create and continue creating. So thank you all.
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.